roadside attraction is maybe a little bit misleading because, I mean, Gatlinburg is full of attractions that you wouldn't really call them roadside attractions.
Right.
You know, you think of roadside attractions being something when you're driving out in the middle of nowhere and all of a sudden you see Uncle Al's steak farm or something
Yeah,
like that.
right.
But, you know, I think they all fall under tourist attractions, whether it's roadside or in the middle of a tourist center like Pigeon Forge or Gatlinburg.
Right.
I went down to Ojo's house, Ojo wasn't home. I ate up Ojo's meat, left Ojo with a bone. Hey,
That was actually the very first vacation trip we ever took. Like I said, it was when I was about 3.5 years old, and we made a trip. We went to Gatlinburg. Of course, really in 1966 there was nothing to see in Pigeon Forge or Sevierville, as you know. The next time we went there, of course, I remember going to the little Fairyland attraction, which was it sat where later they built the Ponderosa Steakhouse, and I think the last time I was up there, I think they had built the new Krispy Kreme on that spot.
That's correct.
It was like walking through a house where you just looked in the windows and saw these little animated scenes of all the different fairy tales. You know, quite charming, but I wish I had made photos of it because I've only found a handful of postcards or brochures to even show what that place looked like. The figures were all like department store animation, like you would see in a department store window at Christmas time.
Oh, gotcha.
And you know, I think they were, in other words, they were manufactured especially for that purpose. But of course, it was owned by the Swan family out of Knoxville, the people who had a bakery up there. I've met with that family. Even they have very little on it.
Wow.
Some people had the foresight to save a lot of archival material, and others didn't.
Right.
And Fairyland is just one of those places that seems to have largely disappeared.
I was actually fairly late in life because, you know, growing up, you know, my parents didn't travel a whole lot, and when they did, it was, you know, we went to Disney once, but, you know, my mom would never in a million years pull off at anything considered a roadside attraction. So I think it almost had an allure to me as a kid, like these smaller places, like, you know, what's inside there, what are they hiding?
You know, when I was looking through your Lost Attractions book, I was really intrigued by the idea of some of these attractions that are truly lost. One of them, which I'd mentioned to you the other day, which was Frontier Town.
Right.
And the other one I saw in your book was called the Hillbilly Museum.
Right, and don't even seem to know where that was. It was, you know, I think the ad was as specific as saying on the Parkway in Pigeon Forge. That little frontier town, that may have been a Z Buddha project, because, you know, he had his fingers in so many businesses back in those days, and the postcard really looks like that it was next to that hilltop where his campground was for so long.
It too was sort of a small little museum that had old artifacts, you know, sort of showing people the way life was back when. And that was pretty much the gist of what the postcard describes Frontier Town on the back, and that was about it.
Which kind of surprises me because a lot of those Western type attractions didn't come along that early. Most of them was because of TV Westerns that they became so common. But like you said, that one might have been a little bit different in that it wasn't so much the frontier land or ghost town in the sky type attraction.
Right.
I don't think it lasted very long. Just like that wonderful idea of the tour through hell. I think in one of my books I said that someone must have gotten that idea that if Christus Gardens could depict the life of Christ, that they could do just as well with the other side of the Bible.
Yeah.
You know, instead of the pretty part of it, let's do the ugly side.
Now, do you have any idea of how long that lasted?
Probably no more than 5 3 or 4 years to judge from the guidebooks that I have. I think it was maybe advertised for a couple of years, so it could have been there a little bit longer than that. But most of that stuff, I guess it was just so temporary that if it didn't find an audience, they would tear it down and build something else in its place.
Anyway, I believe that there are such things as flying saucers. I believe that the Bible tells us about it in the book of Ezekiel. And I think that God is warning us, and He wants us to remember that there are going to be signs in the heavens.
That one is fascinating, though. I wonder. The only photo I've seen is just in the Lost Attractions book. There's a little tiny advertisement.
And the only reason that I even know that much about where it was is that, of course, down here in Birmingham, we have a chain of restaurants called Jack's Hamburgers. And back in the 60s, Jack's had a location in Gatlinburg. And using two different things as the clue for it, their ad showed where Jack's was located near that intersection, and then in the ad there was a photo of people eating on the patio in front of Jack's, and you could see the Tour Through Hell building like across the street from it.
It's interesting. I think in some ways it's both dying and it's evolving. I think that people are, in some sense, gaining an appreciation for them that they didn't have before. People see them as something uniquely American when before they may not have. You're always seeing old attractions disappearing, but I think we're in a time now where actually occasionally we'll see a new one open up, and I think that's now is probably the first time that you've actually started seeing new ones in a few decades.
Fast forwarding maybe 2 decades or so, did you ever visit the Xanadu?
No, that wouldn't have really been something that would have appealed to me anyway, but I think that probably operated during a period that I wasn't going there as much. There were attractions that came and went, but like I said, that's probably not something that I would have been interested in going to either, just like that Museum of Witchcraft or whatever it was. I said, what was so ironic about that, considering that Gatlinburg is such a destination for church tour groups? I'm sure that made a great impression on them.
Yeah, well, the title did not last that long, right? Because
I don't think so. And of course, it was another of Ripley's businesses. So,
yeah, but wasn't it eventually changed to like the Museum of the Unexplained?
Yeah, it was, and that's probably part of the reason why. Gatlinburg has changed so much. There was a place in Gatlinburg called the Hunter Hills Theater. Yeah, I only know of it from doing research and from seeing the old ads.
Rail felt that the tourists we needed more for people to do, and he mortgaged every inch of property he had to borrow money to build Hunter Hills Theater, and then set it up as a non-profit thing. The proceeds were to go for whatever was good for Gatlinburg. But at that time, everybody was running full. They were renting rooms in private homes and sleeping in cars. We had 10 Singer sewing machines going for 10 weeks in the basement of the hotel. We sewed up over 5,000 yards of material to make the costumes.
I was thinking that it was still there, but one of the universities has it, but I may be wrong. I mean, it wouldn't be too difficult to locate if it was still there, because it was an outdoor amphitheater.
Yeah, no, it's long gone.
So what I'm doing is I'm traveling across the country, trying to document roadside attractions. I always feel like if I put anything off, it's going to disappear. These are last little bits of kind of a bygone era. So it's in a way they're little individual time capsules that have a limited amount of time to be enjoyed and captured.